Before I began to write this article, I went online to Webster's Dictionary to find a definition of the words commandment and suggestion. Here's what I found. Commandment, an order or injunction or mandate given by authority, and the act of commanding. Now to suggestion, an idea that is suggested, a proposal offered for acceptance or rejection, to mention as something to think over. Perhaps you can see right off why I've chosen the title, The 10 Suggestions. The idea that we, as the enlightened generation that we are, should be given commandments or orders to follow is truly out of the question. In other words, our society, being led by and influenced by the politically correct, would certainly say, "No way. I don't take orders. Give me a suggestion, a proposal I can accept or reject. I'll think it over and let you know." So let's take a few minutes and review the 10 Commandments as given to Moses and the people. First, I'd like to focus on a couple of passages just before the actual commandments and just after. Passages that reinforce the importance that God places on us keeping them and the promises that we receive for our obedience. I've chosen the Message paraphrase for our discussions here, as it is probably written in the most understandable language for our day. And we begin with Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 39 and 40. "Know this well then, take it to heart right now. God is in heaven above. God is on earth below. He's the only God there is. Obediently live by His rules and commands, which I'm giving you today, so that you'll live well, and your children after you. Oh, you'll live a long time in the land that God, your God, is giving you." Now we'll move along to a few verses following the actual 10 Commandments and see how the people reacted, and see once again the promises of God to those who are obedient. The people said to Moses, "From now on, you go and listen to what God, our God, says, and then tell us what God tells you. We'll listen and we'll do it. God heard what you said to me and told me. I've heard what the people said to you. They're right, good, and true words. What I wouldn't give if they'd always feel this way, continuing to revere me and always keep all my commands. They'd have a good life forever, they and their children. So be very careful to act exactly as God commands you. Don't veer off to the right or the left. Walk straight down the road that God commands, so that you'll have a good life and live a long time in the land you're about to possess." I share these passages with you because I believe God wants to bless us. He wants to give us a good life, we and our children. He didn't prepare this list of do's and don'ts to harm us, to make our lives miserable. He gave them to us to help us and to provide us with guidelines that will bring us blessings. So now to the actual 10 Commandments. As we read through them, consider how they've been butchered, how we've been told to not only remove them from the public square, but how even the church has begun to consider them suggestions. Here goes. Are you ready? Moses reminded the people, "God spoke to you personally out of the fire on the mountain. At the time I stood between God and you to tell you what God said. You were afraid, remember, of the fire and wouldn't climb the mountain. He said, 'I am God, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of a house of slaves. No other gods, only me. No carved images of any size, shape, or form of anything whatever, whether of things that fly or walk or swim. Don't bow down to them, and don't serve them, because I am God, your God, and I'm a most jealous God. I hold parents responsible for any sins they pass on to their children to the third and yes, even the fourth generation. But I'm lovingly loyal to the thousands who love me and keep my commandments. No using the name of God, your God, in curses or silly banter. God won't put up with the irreverent use of his name. No working on the Sabbath. Keep it holy, just as God, your God, commanded you. Work 6 days, doing everything you have to do, but the 7th day is a Sabbath, a rest day. No work, not you, your son, your daughter, your servant, your maid, your ox, your donkey, or any of your animals, and not even the foreigner visiting your town. That way your servants and maids will get the same rest as you. Don't ever forget that you were slaves in Egypt, and God, your God, got you out of there in a powerful show of strength. That's why God, your God, commands you to observe the day of Sabbath rest. Respect your father and mother. God, your God, commands it. You'll have a long life. The land that God is giving you will treat you well. No murder, no adultery, no stealing, no lies about your neighbor, no coveting your neighbor's wife, and no lusting for his house, field, servant, maid, ox, or donkey either, nothing that belongs to your neighbor. These are the words that God spoke to the whole congregation at the mountain. He spoke in a tremendous voice from the fire and cloud and dark mist, and that was it, no more words. Then he wrote them on 2 slabs of stone and gave them to me. So saith the Lord. Now I don't know about you, but I can't find anything in this list that should cause us to rebel. Unless, of course, given the opportunity to change the word commandment to suggestion. We start with the number 1 suggestion. No other gods, only me. Now that's pretty harsh, isn't it? That would mean I'd have to proclaim that all the other gods being held up by other religions are equal to Jehovah God, the God of the Bible, are false gods, and we know that that is politically incorrect. It would also mean that the other things I hold dear to me, such as my family, my career, my personal freedoms, etc., have to come second, and we know that that's totally old-fashioned, totally unacceptable. I mean, our self-centered, selfish society knows that my desires, my hopes and dreams, my opinions come first. So right away, when I consider this just a suggestion that I can accept or reject, I have to reject it. And that, my friend, leads us into a quagmire of disobedience to all of the others. Consider the command number 3. No using the name of God, your God, in curses or silly banter. God won't put up with the irreverent use of his name. Not only has using the name of God as a curse word become so commonplace we hardly even notice it anymore, but speaking of God in silly banter, such as referring to him as the big guy upstairs, brings about laughter. How sad. And as God states, he will not put up with the irreverent use of his name. But again, if this is only a suggestion, I guess we can reject it easy enough. And it might be suggested, who's it hurting anyway? And we have free speech. We can say whatever we want. You may nod your head at this statement, but take a few minutes and consider all the things you can't say, even now in Canada, without getting yourself sued or maybe put in jail. Commandment number 4, keep the Sabbath holy. In other words, no working on Sundays. Maybe you're one of my generation when this was a part of our daily life. I remember the beauty of Sunday, a day when we got dressed up. Wow, how that's changed, and went to church. And then, once home, packed up a lunch in the summer and went for a drive to a park with friends and family and just enjoyed resting and fellowship. The world seemed to be quiet, and I believe that this was a blessing. How glad I am to have lived in that age and seen the benefits of this commandment. Of course, what a crazy suggestion. I mean, people have to work, don't they? People have to mow their lawns and wash their cars and People have to party. I mean, there's no time for that silliness of church, peace and quiet and rest. I ask you, is our world a better place because we have rejected this suggestion? I think not. Now to the basis for a happy and blessed family. Honoring our parents. So how do we do that when so many families no longer have parents? And if they do, they're so convoluted, so mixed up with step-parents, step-siblings, and of course a very large majority of households today are made up of single parents, and that's mostly headed up by moms. How God must weep to see his original plan for the family being destroyed more and more every day. The last 5 you would think would be agreed upon as good commandments. The bad news is they're not. Again, we see that they are mere suggestions to be followed only if we feel like it, only if there isn't a good reason not to. Think about it. What's included here? Murder, adultery, stealing, lying, and coveting. Well, how about murder? Well, I guess abortion and now euthanasia are times when this suggestion can be rejected. How many lives have been lost since abortion became legal, became acceptable to our world? And how many will be lost to euthanasia as it too becomes more and more acceptable? How about adultery? Is this even considered bad anymore by most people? The church seems to have accepted it, and society in general doesn't even refer to the practice as adultery anymore. It's merely a lifestyle choice. Spend some time watching soap operas and sitcoms and you'll see it as common practice. Or look around your group of friends. That's pretty scary, isn't it? Or not. I mean, it's the 20th century. How about stealing? Well, again, only if it doesn't hurt anybody, we might say. If we take a few things from our job site, if we cheat on our income tax, if we do work under the table, if we loot and steal during a riot, when the cause is what society would deem acceptable, and of course it's okay as long as we don't get caught. I'd say most people today consider this a suggestion and reject it out of hand. Well, how about lying? A suggestion for sure. And again, it's acceptable because everybody's doing it. Politicians, big business, bankers, employers, I mean everybody. Do you even think about lying as bad news anymore? And lastly, we see coveting as it refers to our neighbor. And the bad news is everybody's our neighbor. I mean, that's what makes our world go round. One country coveting what another country has. One business coveting what another business has. One family coveting what another family has. One member of a family coveting what another member of the same family has. That's what makes the world go round, isn't it? That's why we work so hard, so we can keep up with the Joneses. And oh yes, let's not forget, this is totally acceptable. So here we are at the end of the list of commandments, totally depressed, as we see our world is on the road to destruction. Why? Because God's blessings have been removed. His hand of protection has been removed, all because we are being led farther and farther away from His Word, from His commandments. I close today asking you to take some time to see where you fit into this scenario. Do you follow His commandments, or have you strayed into the world of the politically correct, believing they are merely suggestions? Remember, if you will, God's words. What I wouldn't give if they'd always believe this way, continuing to revere me and always keep all my commands. They'd have a good life forever, they and their children. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you'll sign up as a subscriber and tune in for my next article from the Politically Incorrect.